Good evening, everyone. Welcome in to the PHLY Phillies soon-to-be post-game show. Myself, Jamie Lynch, Tyler Zulli. Tyler, we entered the top of the ninth here. The Phillies just made it a one-run game. Kind of sucks it's not a tied game off of that because you really, missed an opportunity the inning before. But Castellanos kind of goes with the almost takes a knee, golfs one out down the left field line, makes it a one-run game. Phillies here, top of the ninth with Jock Peterson leading off. Hopefully we can see a little walk-off magic tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've done a decent job of getting some good swings on some pitches today between Montgomery starting. I thought Montgomery was pretty flat, to be quite frank. And he got away with a bunch of stuff.
He had four swings and misses through like the fourth inning. Like he had nothing.
His stuff just isn't there the way that it was in Texas. And I think you can still see that he's kind of still stretching himself out a little bit. But just on quick glance, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 balls that were hit over 100 miles an hour today. And they've got they got some good swings on him, but I think they let him off the hook a little bit through his start today. And then of course unfortunate that it happened the way that it did, but you've got bases loaded, 1 out, and your best hitter at the plate, and he hits into a 1-2-3 double play. Like,
yeah,
if I give Bryce Harper that situation, I'm not saying he is going to drive in 2 or 3, a bulk of the time. But if I give Bryce Harper that situation, the percentage of times that he's going to hit into a 1-2-3 double play is minuscule.
So I was going to ask you, and it's Bryce Harper, and you don't want him to change who he is and what he is, and he loves pouncing a first pitch. Do you think you take one there, or you let him have the green light for life?
No, I think that he's one of the few hitters in the game. Not
I
just
agree.
in the team. He's one of the few hitters in the game that you're not going to change the guy's approach. He's been super successful over the course of his career. He got a okay pitch. I think he jumped on not the greatest pitch in the world, but
looks like he topped it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if it's Rafael Marchand at the plate, if it's Brandon Martin,
that's not,
right?
God,
the two guys that I feel comfortable, first pitch digging in that spot are Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper. Trey Turner to an extent too, but I think he's not as I think that in that spot he probably would have extended the at bat a little bit further. It's unfortunate. I mean, like we've talked about with runners in scoring position, that was a premier chance with runners in scoring position, and you come away with a 1-2-3 double play.
Yeah, brutal. And then the other inning when Harper gets the leadoff double, just misses the home run by about an inch. You can't take advantage there. So coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's a shame it wasn't a tied up game last inning. So the Phillies are going to have to. Strom's dealing right now. 1 out here. What are your general thoughts on the Apple TV broadcast? Hopefully everybody either started a free trial or got the free access code for tonight.
Yeah, I will say this, and I mean this with absolutely no disrespect to Tom McCarthy and John Kruk, because I enjoy listening to them. It felt a little weird to me because it was supposed to be a national broadcast.
Yeah.
And it was very thinly veiled a Phillies broadcast.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where you would, and it's just a force of habit, and I totally understand it, where John Kruk would say, blah, 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 and Trey, and then correct himself and go, Trey Turner or Turner, because it was supposed to be a national broadcast. And I saw our friends at PHNX were talking about it. A lot of Diamondbacks fans were not super thrilled that it felt like a Phillies broadcast.
Well, it was.
and right. So, I mean, 3 of the 4 members of the crew are part of the NBC Sports Philadelphia broadcast. It is what it is. Tom's a consummate professional. I think he's just a really good pro at his job. But at some point, I did switch over to Fransky and Stock, just because at that point, if I was listening to a Phillies broadcast, I was just going to listen to the Phillies radio broadcast.
I do love that about Apple TV, that it gives you the options for radio, television, whatever audio you want to listen to. Just overall, I think their cameras are beautiful.
The only thing I have an issue with is I think it takes
the audio
to follow. Like you'll see a fly out, and because where they're situated in the camera, it takes a little bit of time to yank the camera up. So anything that's in the air is a little bit more difficult to track than I
Man,
think it is on the NBC broadcast.
Your boy Strom is going right at a red hot Christian Walker. This is pretty good.
Oh,
Pretty good stuff. Yeah,
I mean,
Christian Walker's been on a tear, and Strom's
right now. Matt Strom should go after everybody.
Yeah, he's going right in Christian Walker's kitchen here. No fear. Hopefully, he gets in the chase here.
We talked about it with Salisbury yesterday. You and I and Renee have talked about it plenty. Matt Strom's earned the right to attack good hitters.
Absolutely, he's been near perfect this year, and I think Jim said it best. Like, I think his was more of like a mental confidence breakthrough of like, hey, I'm good. And there he is. He went right in his kitchen again, gets the pop up to first.
It's hard, too. Like, we watched him last year, and I tip my cap to Matt Strom because Matt Strom's not a starter in a perfect world. Matt Strom is what the role he's in now. But I tip my cap to the guy who, when they needed him last year, he kind of kept them afloat in terms of at least eating innings. I think we can all agree he's a much better high-leverage reliever than he is a starter. But, you tip
But he was very serviceable for like a month.
Right, and that's what I mean. I remember there was the game against the game against the Yankees. I think they came out of the gate really flat, and I think the game against the Yankees he was good. I believe there was a start against the Royals that he was pretty good in as well last year. So you tip your cap to the guy who was willing to make changes on the fly like that. But you're getting an opportunity to see Matt Strom at his best when he's just able to go out there and just attack guys. And the thing that really strikes me as impressive, he's done a really, really nice job against right-handed hitters this year.
Yeah. Just missed one there. But yeah, he's been terrific in the bullpen. For the most part, did a really nice job tonight. Spencer Turnbull got himself out of a jam. We'll get into Taillon in the post-game show because this is more about live reaction. I'm sure. I haven't turned on the comments yet, but I'm sure people in the chat want to, call for Taillon's head. And Darth Pooh's pointing out that the post-game show is making us lose again.
Did they just go batter violation for strike 3?
They sure did.
I think they just called him out. So today we've seen a strikeout on a batter violation and a 3-pitch walk.
Yeah,
it's a weird sport.
That is weird. What's the old saying? You'll see something you never seen before.
Yep.
Yeah. So going into the bottom of the 9th here, how do you feel? You feeling the walk-off magic tonight?
No, actually, I'm not today, which is a good thing because normally when I feel good about it, it doesn't come to fruition. So if you're looking for a Phillies win, it's a good thing that maybe I'm not. But tonight, I'm not, which is unfortunate because it was a ceremonious day, and like you said, the bullpen was pretty strong. The one run from Dominguez was all that the bullpen gave up, but Turnbull was good. Strom was good for the inning in an inning and 2/3 or an inning and a third. Yeah. He was good again. Listen, I think that this kind of starts and ends with the fact that Walker's not been great this year. In fact, I think it's not a hot take to say he's been pretty bad. I think two things were at their worst. His pitches were flat today, and the velocity had dipped even further.
He topped out, and we'll go into the full Taillon roasting in the post-game show. He topped out at 91.7 today.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean,
if he's tapping out at 91.7, he's going to get cooked. He's going to get fried every game. So, like, at that point, you're just going to have to basically know that Spencer Turnbull has to go probably 3 innings, and you hope you can get 4 innings out of Taillon, unless they do the mystery IL arm fatigue. I don't know what else you do other than just get Spencer Turnbull ready to go 2 to 3 innings, every 5th day.
Well, and the thing is, too, we've talked about this before. Ryan Spilborghs was talking about it on the broadcast, too. The decreased use of his splitter has almost baffled me because, let's be honest, the splitter's been bad this year. It's been actually, I believe, statistically, his worst pitch. So I understand him getting away from it. But I also will say, for the bulk of his career, even when he was throwing harder, when he was throwing 94, 95, his best pitch was his splitter. So for the efficacy of the splitter to fall off that significantly is really, really concerning for any sort of long-term stretch because he's not pitched well for a bulk of this year. And I'll be honest with you, I thought his start in Baltimore was decent. I think he did a decent job of keeping them, at bay for 6 innings. But today, everything was flat. He used the cutter a lot today.
Oh, just short.
He used the cutter a lot today. He threw it 26% of the time. The breaking ball was flat. And you know him. He's going to attack the zone, or you would think in theory he's going to attack the zone. He threw a lot of sinkers today. Nothing really moved. I'm not sure how much more leeway they give this guy.
Yeah, if you're watching along with us, man, David Dahl just missed one off of Paul Sewald there to kind of right center by, I don't know, 6-7 feet.
What did Jonathan Papelbon say about this guy? When I asked him, how does he pitch so well throwing 92?
What did he say again? Like big old balls or something?
Big set of nuts or something.
Yeah, yeah. As only Papelbon could say it. I was watching a Red Sox game recently on MLB package, and he was doing the Nesson broadcast up there.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Rafael Marchand, and then the top of the order. So you get Schwarber.
I know we talked about him. Like I said, we talked about him.
Here, real quick. John just tweeted this out. Sorry to interrupt. Kyle Schwarber will bat here in the 9th. His career numbers entering today's game in the first inning. In the 9th inning, he has a 147 batting average, 10 home runs, and 295 plate appearances. As the Diamondbacks just got the second out. Yeah, he's hitting 147 on base, 248, 541 OPS. He has not been really good in the 9th compared to like the first.
Well,
so
it's a good time to correct that course a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, he does have 10 career home runs and almost 300 at bats. So Suarez does not look like a major leaguer, right?
I will say this, and
we got that face.
We've said this plenty of times before. This Diamondbacks team is a really good defensive team.
Yeah.
Obviously, you lose your catcher tonight. I don't know to what extent it's going to be, but Gabriel Moreno won the Gold Glove last year. Christian Walker is by far, in my opinion, the best defensive first baseman in baseball. Jake McCarthy's a good defender.
Come on with that. He didn't go. Come on, ump. Maybe he did.
Yeah, he did.
At live, it didn't look like it. That one.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, all right. The one to Harper earlier. What did you think? Did he go? That one I didn't think he did.
It was borderline. I will say this. I think that
oof.
You could hear it on the broadcast too. I think the umpire said something along the lines of, I want to keep you in this game or something like that. Cause he was starting to bust a little bit. It's a really good way to keep a hitter in the game and not complaining and not trying to snap at you is to.
Oh, there's Christian Walker gobbling it up.
Call Phillies the pitch clock violation that occurred multiple times in the first 2 innings.
Yeah, we'll get into all that. But if you're just joining us, the Phillies go down 5-4 final. Christian Walker gobbles one up there.
I hate Paul Sewald.
Yeah. He's an enemy of the state after last year. There's no doubt about it. So the Phillies lose game 1 of the series. In all honesty, Tyler, and it's going to be the main talking point of the show, I fear, because I don't really want to talk about it that much. John Foley is going to join us live from Citizens Bank Park after Rob Thompson's presser. I expected them to lose a Taillon Walker start. Well, and that kind of sucks because the other 4 spots in the rotation, and I know Taillon was like 3-1, but just going into his starts, you don't really feel great about the Phillies' chances. And I think we were just talking about it. When he's topping out at barely 92 miles an hour, he's going to get shelled.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to rely upon the offense on any given night that Taillon Walker starts, which in theory makes it makes you feel more comfortable than it should with a guy that you don't trust on the mound because, I think you trust this offense. And I think you trust this offense, obviously, a lot more when they're humming at full capacity, right? When JT Realmuto's back, when Trey Turner is 100%, which he looks to be pretty close to. When the lineup is set that the way that you want it to be, you trust the offense even a little bit more. But it does start. It really kind of grates on you when you are looking at. You're feeling like you're always in a deficit. You're feeling like you're always in a hole. And we've talked about plenty of times the Taillon Walker first inning numbers are just horrendous this year. And, today we talked about it. The command really wasn't there. The fastball velocity, the sinker velocity, when you're topping out at 91 and you're flat on your breaking balls, it's really, really difficult to win games. But the thing is too, like if you score 4 or 5 a night, I'll take my chances with this pitching staff 80% of the time. If you're going to score 4 tomorrow with this, who's going tomorrow? I believe it's Christopher Sanchez.
I have it in my notes. Hold on. Tomorrow is Zach Wheeler.
Sanchez
Wheeler on Sunday.
Right. So you go Wheeler tomorrow and Sanchez on Sunday. The likelihood of you winning a game when your team scores 4 runs or maybe gets to 5 if Harper doesn't get doubled off or Harper doesn't have the blunder at second.
The offense, they should have had more than 4.
Whatever it is. I'm not singling him out. I'm just doesn't hit into the double play. I'm not singling him out in that regard. But if you score 4.5, 5 runs on a given night, 4 out of 5 times through this rotation, the likelihood that you're going to win is pretty high. It's just the unfortunate nature of tonight was, Walker served up the long ball, gave up the home run early to Gurriel, gave up the home run to Peterson, gave up the home run to Moreno. And I think kind of squarely put them behind the 8 ball because he was really laboring. And the fact that Rob Thompson noticed it and took him out after 77 pitches is pretty indicative to me that Rob Thompson's pretty much done with Taillon Walker.
I think everybody is. Unfortunately, there's really nothing to hang on to anymore. What reality is, and his $18 million, and Tyler, you have a graphic of Taillon Walker's MLB savant kind of pitch chart and where he ranks. And let me just warn the people, blue is bad. Very, very bad.
Yeah,
Good stuff is on the right side. His is all very, very poor. That was heading into tonight's game.
Think about it. Hard hit percentage is in the first percentile. That means you're literally the worst percentile in the game. His average exit velocity coming off the bat, his average exit velo is 92.
Also the worst. It's impressive.
Whiff percentage, he's not. So listen, when you have a combination of you don't throw hard, you're not getting people to chase, they're barreling you, and you're not getting strikes, you're not getting swinging strikes, it becomes pretty much infeasible to go deep in most ball games.
Yeah. He it's it's not been great. So Taillon Walker obviously is going to be the focus of the Rob Thompson presser. I would think after the game, we'll get into some of the positives from the game because, like you said, it's not all bad. And I just kind of expected to lose a Taillon Walker start. I don't right or wrong. That's just the way I feel going into these games. You got to feel great with Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah, for sure.
The Phillies have a clear pitching advantage both Saturday and Sunday this weekend. So you take the series. That's all that matters because the Diamondbacks are just a pesky pain in the ass team versus the Phillies.
Yeah, like you said, the pitching matchup favors the Phillies. Tomorrow, I believe, is going to kind of become a pseudo bullpen game for Arizona.
Yeah, listed as Tommy Henry.
Tommy Henry, I think through 2, got into the 3rd in his last start.
Lefty.
I know PHNX was talking about would you start Scott McGuff, and I think that they pretty much quickly shot that down because of the fact that he doesn't pitch particularly well to left-handed hitters, and you've got obviously Schwarber and Harper to start the game. So Tommy Henry probably gets the start tomorrow, but the pitching matchup heavily favors the Phillies tomorrow. And then on Sunday, I believe it is Slade.
Yes, Michoni.
Yes,
Tony.
Before
I'll let you take that one. Why don't you just look that one up?
Yeah, it's oh my god,
Ciccone.
It's Ciccone.
Ciccone.
Yeah, Slade Ciccone gets the start on Sunday. Chris Sanchez has been really freaking good this year. I think
It's
that one,
yeah.
it's not as heavily favored as tomorrow's game is going to be, but I think you're still the favorite of the you're favored in the pitching matchup. There's no reason for you to still not win this series, barring one of those two guys shuts you down.
Yeah, the Phillies do have some glaring issues, though. We'll get into those. And I think they have a pretty massive outfield problem. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Spencer Turnbull and his role in all this.
Sean's comment's pretty funny. Should have let Cole Hamels pitch tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's still like good enough to go. So, maybe they should have called him in and seen if he had an inning or two. But I know who's got an inning for you or two at all times. That's our friends over at Mortgage CS, because the housing market, well, it's gotten a little crazy. Rates have gone up. The competitive market out there is limited inventory. It's a brutal time. I have a sister that's going through the process herself, and I immediately was like, you got to talk to Alec and Ben over at Mortgage CS, because look, the values are going to keep going up, but it doesn't mean you have to put off buying just because rates are at a high time to move. If you see the right house, it's the time to move. And when you have Alec and Ben on your side, you can talk about refinancing down the line, because it's straightforward with them. When rates drop, Mortgage CS will monitor all your refinance opportunities and ensure you save money responsibly. You don't want to pay a ton of fees when you refinance, and you're never going to get that with Mortgage CS. In the end, you're going to be so happy you texted Ben, the CEO of Mortgage CS. Text him right now. Text him about going and getting Luis Robert from the White Sox, because the Phillies need offensive help. He's a sports junkie and he's a workaholic. 267-391-7425. Maybe you just need a new friend. He's always there for you. There's a reason people win more with Mortgage CS. So call or text Ben now at 267-391-7425 and see for yourself. You can also go to mortgagecs.com/PHLY to check them out, or you can Google them and see over their 350 perfect 5-star reviews by searching Mortgage CS right now. Tell them PHLY sent you.
Yeah, so I understand that the housing market's a little bit difficult to maneuver right now, but one thing that I know is easy to locate, because they're now in Wawa, is our friends over at Olipop. Olipop is the world's first functional soda. And listen, I know growing up, a lot of us drank a lot of soda, whether it be regular soda, diet soda, whatever the case may be. There was always a lot of soda in my house growing up. And I realized as I got older, I got to cut that out, because there's a lot of sugar in regular soda, but not with Olipop. It is a new kind of soda with only 2 to 5 grams of sugar, and it has 9 grams of fiber per can. And if you've heard me talk about Olipop, you know that my absolute favorite flavor of the Olipop that we have in our studios at any given time is the grape. If there's no grape at the PHLY studios, it's because I drank it all. It is absolutely my favorite of the Olipop flavors. But 2 more flavors are debuting in Wawa now, the classic root beer and the strawberry vanilla, which just so happen to be 2 of the more popular flavors with our friends over at Olipop. And they use functional ingredients that combine benefits of prebiotic plant fibers and botanicals to support your digestive health. Now, listen, I know a lot of us have some digestive issues. In fact, 2 out of 3 Americans suffer from digestive issues, and some of that is due to high sugar intake. Sometimes you get sodas that have over 40 grams of sugar. I don't know if you know this, but the daily recommended intake for a day is 30 grams. So Olipop has you covered, just 2 to 5 grams of sugar per can, and you can find it just about anywhere. And over 30,000 retailers nationwide, and again, including in all of Wawa stores. So go to Olipop, go to olipop.com and use the promo code PHLY20 for 20% off your first purchase.
Yeah, so welcome into the PHLY post-game show. If you're just finding us or joining in, you can smash that thumbs up button for us, or if you're like the Diamondbacks fan that found the way into the chat, a thumbs down is fine too. It still feeds the algorithm, so you just keep on winning. But not a great start to the beginning of the series. We will get into some of the positives, Tyler, because I don't want to be entirely negative here. I really liked what I saw from Trey Turner. Him turning, that was the old Chris Wheeler belt high buggy whipped one into left field. He got a hold of that one. So it was unfortunate more guys weren't able to tee off Jordan Montgomery, who didn't have great stuff tonight. But it was good to see Trey have that back in the bag.
Yeah, I think that his swing isn't one that, like, I don't think it's going to take a lot of time to recover from an injury because
He's
it's
back.
it's pretty repeatable. It's pretty quick to the zone. It's that, again, that cliche, quick to the zone, long through the zone.
I bet he's got a great golf swing.
He does. I wouldn't surprise me. Although I will say this: a lot of times, baseball players are either really, really good at golf or really, really bad at golf.
He's got that short, compact, like just through the impact.
Right.
Like,
And I thought, quite honestly, tonight, I thought he had two really bad swings, and unfortunately, they came on back-to-back pitches. He swung over top of a changeup and then swung over top of a slider. The one was out and away. The other one kind of was a back foot breaking ball. But I think that it's very easy for him to get back into the swing of things. For me, with him, the thing that's going to take the longest to get 100% right is the base stealing, and it's or the
Crux said tonight that I guess the word internally is that he's only at 70% running.
That sounds about right. Like, hamstrings are so difficult to maneuver. You can say you feel good and then just tweak it or feel a little pop and a little strain, and all of a sudden you're back to where you started. To kind of get into that, I once had a hamstring strain, tried to sit it out for a couple days, which you should probably take a couple weeks, but I wasn't missing games.
I did the same thing in high school.
Finally got back to feeling good, and the next game strained the other hamstring because I was like compensating. So, everybody's
I went out and the trainer like smacked me in the head. He's like, "I told you you weren't ready."
Right.
And I was like, "But I felt good." And he's like, "Well, that's what hamstrings do."
Everybody's got a hamstring story where they came back too early. So for Trey to be for Trey Turner to be at 70%, I think that that's probably a good number because he can still do damage as a hitter. He can still do damage as a base runner.
Beat out that one in the first, even at 70%.
Right. And I will tell you this: if he's at 100%, that's not even close. So for me, him getting back and his bat being back in the lineup is far more paramount right now than him being able to successfully run the bases at 100% clip.
Tyler, we have 39 days until the MLB trade deadline. Not that I'm counting. I didn't add it to
start putting a little zero on your board too.
Not that I didn't add it to
Luis Robert.
I didn't add it to my countdown clock in my phone. I definitely didn't. But we have 39 days until the MLB trade deadline. The Phillies need outfield help. Johan Rojas had a really good first game back down in Lehigh Valley. There's a strong chance he comes back because I think David Dahl has kind of come back to earth a little bit, although he just missed one tonight. They need something. I mean, Brandon Marsh is near impossible to play against lefties. Not the likelihood of seeing a lefty if you see Chris Sale, you might see one, but that's a concern. And then the center field position is just inept. This outfield is kind of gross right now. They need help because
for sure.
This is a World Series contending team, and you don't get this close and not go for it. And I fully expect Dave Dombrowski and Sam Fuld to go for it. They need help though.
Yeah, I've kind of resounded myself to the fact that I think the target ends up being Taylor Ward from the Angels. I think that not that he's the only one. I just think that A, they have a good trade relationship with the Angels, and B, we know that Dave Dombrowski.
Yeah, we give Logan a hop. He's been good.
Dave Dombrowski strives to acquire players who have multiple years of control, whether it be through team control or arbitration. I think Taylor Ward is on team arbitration through 2027, which is really, really good for a Dave Dombrowski move. I would imagine that if I were to give you a guess right now and to put my stamp of like, this is my prediction, I think it's a pairing with the Angels, and it depends on how much they're willing to spend. If they want to spend medium, I think it's Taylor Ward and Luis Garcia coming back. I think if they want to spend a little bit more, you could acquire, inquire about an acquisition of Taylor Ward and Carlos Estevez, their closer, who's been really good after kind of struggling for the first month or so. It depends on how much you're looking to spend. But I've kind of resounded myself to the fact I would not be stunned if the trade deadline acquisition is Taylor Ward and a reliever from the Angels. Not inclusive.
You could certainly do worse than Yeah,
Not
you could do worse
inclusive.
than
I
Taylor
think
Ward.
there's other stuff, but I think that might be a considerable move.
Yeah, 30 years old, as you said, has a couple years of control. This year, I know you love WAR. He is a +1 WAR player, sitting 235, 34 runs scored, 37 RBIs, and on base 317, OPS plus 105, a OPS of 733. So that's an upgrade. So
Well,
like
and
I wouldn't be upset at it, but I
I
want to
will
go
say
big.
this.
You know what I want.
I know that you want to jump at a big splash.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how much they're willing to acquiesce to your request of a big splash because I'm not sure
They'll
how
get
many.
there. They'll get there. Watch
I'm
this
not
for
sure
another 3 weeks.
how many of those prospects they're willing to give up. But I will say this: I almost feel like, so you look at the batting average that you mentioned, and he's hitting what 230 something,
235, I
235,
think I just said.
and the
Yeah.
OBP is a little bit low. He doesn't walk a ton, but I will say this:
313.
the things that stand out to me with Taylor Ward, his barrel rate is in the 93rd percentile.
Like that.
His chase rate is in the 95th percentile. And it's funny, I say he doesn't walk a ton. And over the course of his career, he actually has an OBP that's about 80 points higher than his career average. And his walk rate's actually in the 81st percentile for the league this year. So maybe I was a little bit underselling him a little bit. He's a plus defender, slightly a plus defender. I wouldn't say he's any like elite or anything like that, but he's, got a 1 outs above replacement. He's a 1 arm value. So he's above average as a defender. I almost feel like he's getting his numbers, at least from an average standpoint, are actually a little underselling the type of hitter that Taylor Ward can be. Because like I said, when you're barreling almost 16% of your at bats, I'm certainly going to be okay with that. If you're hitting hard outs, right, you hit it right at somebody, the at bat is pure, the swing is good. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any doubt about it that help is going to arrive by the trade deadline. We have 39 days. I may mention it from time to time that you should just go all in with Luis Robert, get him some German blood cycling, drop a little HGH in his Gatorade, and let's roll, baby. Injury when you play for a crap organization, maybe every injury is a little dramatic, and you don't really feel like rushing back.
When you go to prison over this, when they indict you. And this show. I am not a character witness. Don't call me to the stand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be involved in this.
HGH is legal. You just need a real shady doctor to give it to him. Under the
not in baseball. It's not.
In certain forms, you could sneak it in. It's fine. It's high. It's good for hydration. So yeah, go get Luis Robert. Put him in the middle of your order. Boom. Problem solved. You're an NL favorite for the next 3 seasons. Pretty simple.
You're really sold on this.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I'm all in. Because I just think, like, his age, his years of control, his big bopping ability, he takes center field. Like Jim said it with us on, what was it, Thursday we had him on? It was like, the Phillies haven't really had a center fielder since, and he was talking about Justin Crawford, who I ironically would give up in a heartbeat for Luis Robert. No offense, Justin, you were absolutely on fire right now. But Jim said he's like, they haven't had a good center fielder since Shane Victorino.
I mean, and he's not wrong.
No, I mean, and I don't think, I know there's Johan Rojas believers out there. I don't know if I can say I believe.
Not right now. Not at this current juncture. I mean,
he's been okay, but it's not something to get excited. Like, I don't know.
And the thing is too, like, the alternative is not any better. The alternative of a Marsh Pache platoon in center and a Marsh Dahl platoon in left doesn't excite you either. Because if Brandon Marsh is playing, close to every day as your left fielder with a plus center fielder next to him, I think him hitting against lefties becomes a little less, you can chalk it up a little bit more than you can with how things are trending right now. Because, quite frankly, you've got a center fielder who's not hitting much. You get a left fielder, whoever it is, again, who's not hitting much. And your catching position's still up in the air. Like, we've talked about Marchand. I like Marchand, but until JT Realmuto comes back, you're talking about guys who are going to hit towards the bottom of your lineup. Are they contributing on a daily basis? I'm not sure if they're going to for the next 4 weeks or not. I don't listen, if they go and make a big splash, I'm not going to sit here and be like, the prospects. I don't care about prospects. I would say he'd or temper your expectations a little bit, because I'm not sure they make the big splash you're looking for.
Don't be cowards. You're on the doorstep of a World Series. Like, the thing that makes me think that they might.
Dad? I thought this was America.
Yeah. We used to be a proper country where teams would go for it at the trade deadline. No, but the thing that makes me think they might make that big splash is because, I just read it in, I think it was Jason Stark's piece. Jim has probably made reference to it. Matt Gelb, like Todd Zalecki. They all mention how internally irritated they were by last year's NLCS.
Oh, I'm sure.
And you can see it, like, right? This outfield problem is predictable. It's not going to correct itself. It's the one glaring hole you have on your team.
Agree.
Why would you not go big? Especially if you can get a guy with, 3 to 4 years of somewhat team friendly-ish money. I mean, $20 million isn't really, you know what I mean, though. For a guy that can potentially hit 40 home runs, $20 million becomes very team friendly.
Tangibly speaking, if he is on the field, it becomes a much more palatable number to take in. So I will say this: next year is the final year of Kyle Schwarber's contract. The following year is the final year of Nick Castellanos' contract. Now, inversely, you are going to have to start thinking about paying Ranger Suarez. You're going to have to start thinking about paying Alec Boehm. I don't think those two numbers come until much closer, until they're actually free agents. But I think that if you're going to take a big swing and you want to acquire somebody on a, higher term salaried contract, John Middleton has proven he's willing to do it. And B, I think it kind of fits your timeline well, knowing that, next year.
What I'm talking about.
I'm not sure if Schwarber returns. I'm not sure if I'm pretty positive Castellanos doesn't return.
I think Schwarber loves it here. And if there's a DH spot for him, he's coming back.
But all right, so let me rephrase it. I'm not sure Schwarber returns on $18 to $20 million. I think if Schwarber returns at the end of next year,
I'd have to really dive into like top of the DH market. Like what does Yordan Alvarez make?
Well,
is he on he's not. Where's his contract at?
I'm not sure he is. I don't know.
What is? Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton was a position player turned DH, so he was paid as a position. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what that is.
Yordan Alvarez is making about $20 million a year. He signed for $6 and $115.
What year did he sign that?
2023. I think it kicked in last year. But
yeah, so I think there's a shot that $20 million could be the top of the DH market. So you might have a shot, is my only point.
It's 7, 10, 15, and then it's 27 for the next 3 years for Yordan.
Okay. I mean, so maybe you do a short-term deal where you give him 23, 24. We'll see. John Foley is going to be joining us from the ballpark shortly. But before John hops on to tell us about the game, I got to tell you about our friends over at Miller Lite. You know Miller Lite. Everybody knows Miller Lite because it's the original light beer since 1975. And to this day, it's still the best one. It's become my absolute favorite. I spent many years deciding, refining my palate, coming up with my go-to light beer. And I'm happy to say it was Miller Lite because it's simple and it's less filling. And look, it's summertime. It's beach season, pool, lake, whatever. You want that less filling beer that's not going to make you feel bloated, and you save on some calories while drinking it. So Miller Lite is that because they strip away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that just tastes like a light beer should taste. Less filling and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. And you don't have to choose what's best because Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY Phillies, or you can find it anywhere pretty much that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Yeah, I texted you guys this afternoon, and I said, wife's not here today. Went and got a pizza for myself and having a couple beers. Looking forward to postgame tonight. And, I actually ended up only having one beer, but I had a lot of pizza. But that one beer, Jamie, was, in fact, our friends at Miller Lite.
Had a guy.
Because honestly, it's not a bad pizza beer, too. Like, I think
It's great everything beer.
It pairs with pizza really well. But before we
cheesesteaks, hoagies, all of it.
I think you're right. But before we get to our friend John Foley down at the ballpark, I have to tell you, now is an awesome time to become a diehard with us here at PHLY. And you can get all the great content from some of our amazing writers like John Foley, who's going to join us shortly, Jim Salisbury, Zach Berman with the Eagles coverage, Kyle Neubeck, Charlie O'Connor, all of our incredible writers. But it doesn't just stop with our written content, especially when you get some exclusive content that you would not get otherwise if you are not a PHLY diehard. But you also get to join us in some of our amazing events. Coming up in just a couple of weeks, our first annual Liberty Open on July 13th. It will be at Valley Brook Country Club. And yes, you can come make fun of us. Some of us are good golfers. Jamie's a pretty decent golfer.
No.
Some of us, myself, not so much. So if you want to just come sign up and make fun of us, you're welcome to do that. Or you can get in on our scramble format style of afternoon for a lot of fun. You can sign up as a single. You can get your friends and join a foursome. Or if your business or yourself is feeling generous and you want to sponsor a hole, you can do that as well. You will get 18 holes with a cart. There will also be tournament gifts and tee prizes, of which I will win none, unless the tee prize is the weirdest spot that you hit your ball off the tee, because I know places on the course that the groundskeepers don't know. That's how bad I am at golf. But if you want to just come have fun with us, you can also join us for the Taste of Philly dinner and post-round ceremony at the Pavilion. We'll have contests and team prizes on the course as well. And next week, get down to Garage North in Fishtown to hang out with our friends over at PHLY Sixers for the NBA Draft Show live. Again, at Garage in Fishtown. It is a free ticket to get in, but all you have to do is head on over to allphly.com to set up your RSVP, and you are in. You'll also get a short meet and greet with the team 30 minutes prior to the live show, and they are also offering $5 Coors Light and Coors Banquet all night. All you have to do is head on over to allphly.com to RSVP, and if you become a diehard, you'll get 20% off all of these events that are not free. And of course, you'll get a free shirt when you become a member, and you can hang out with us in our Discord as well. So much to check out when you join PHLY and become a diehard. So I would recommend it.
Yeah. Speaking of one of those diehard perks, you get the great Jim Salisbury. You get the great Jim Salisbury.
Going to a time warp?
Yeah. I just I think I hit the show tab in YouTube on it. And wasn't muted there.
Jump to the left and a skip to the right.
Yeah. Mickey Dirk and Tyler wants to know where you got the pizza tonight.
I got it from a place called Old Friends Pizza.
Old Friends. Speaking of pizza, I don't know why that has anything to do with John Foley.
Transition to go to John?
I mean, I'm sure he likes pizza. Everybody likes pizza.
That's an excellent segue, Jamie. I love pizza.
What's your favorite kind of pizza?
Really nicely done. I'm a basic bitch when it comes to pizza. I like the cheese.
Yeah.
Maybe a pepperoni, but
yeah. So John, you're fresh off the Rob Thompson presser. I would have to imagine the leading question theme of it was Taillon Walker? ?
Yeah, it sure was. There was just a deflating feeling down there talking to Rob about Taiwan.
Same watching.
Yeah. Pretty much the same feeling you get watching him lately. Rob mentioned a couple interesting things. One thing he said was that he didn't feel like the velocity was really there, and that
he topped out at 91.7, John.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the numbers, but that sounds about right. And he said it seemed like Walker was maybe trying to create the velocity, and he elaborated on that a little, as in instead of staying within himself and doing what he does, just sort of trying to sort of ramp up and throw it as hard as he can. And that's going to give you some location issues that we saw. There was some talk about his splitter. They said, in bullpen before the game, Caleb Cotham told Rob Thompson that it's looking good. It's down. And then for whatever reason, and Rob didn't really have an explanation for it, Walker enters the game and he leaves a couple splitters up, and they were just hammered. So it's a problem. We're reaching a point with this Phillies team where you really see what they're really good at. And then you can see the weak spots. You can see, Walker at the back of the rotation. The bottom of the order was 0 for 10, I think. The outfield trouble. So, there's only so much they can do right now without, swinging a trade. And we're too far away from the deadline for much of that to heat up.
39 days, but nobody's counting.
39 days. There we go. Rob was asked, is there it's been about 10 starts for Walker. He was asked, do you have a certain number in mind? He wasn't going to give that up. He said, if I did, I would not tell you. That's a locker room conversation, which, fair enough. But reading between the lines, maybe he does have a number in mind.
Yeah, that's called don't throw your pitcher under the bus in real post game press conference.
Exactly. I don't think he just wants to walk in post game and be like, "Yeah, I haven't talked to him yet, but he's
got 2 more starts."
He did mention that he wants to talk to Walker tomorrow and just see if he's healthy. It's a possibility with the velocity down. Walker's sort of odd in that way, and that the velocity can fluctuate even when he's fully healthy. He's sort of always been like that. But with it down now, the slow start from spring training on, they were just teeing off on him early in this game. So you do got to wonder how long this goes on, especially when you have Turnbull there who was pitching really well. I know they're concerned about his innings, but the crowd and the cries are just going to get louder. And the "we won Turnbull" chants, they're not going away anytime soon unless Walker turns it around.
So, John, I think I've probably asked you this every time we've been on a post game together when you're in the press box, but I think this might be just my jealousy of your seat every night seeping through. But it looked to me that you brought it up that he was trying to create velocity. It looked to me there was a lot of really overarching pull, and when you do that, like you mentioned, that's where you lose location, and that to me tends to show you that you're either going to miss way up because you're not landing well on your front foot, or you're pulling way down because you're trying to just muscle it through. Did you kind of notice that as well from where you were sitting?
Yeah, that seemed to be the overall impression. Tyler, I think you have a better understanding of pitching mechanics than I do in terms of what exactly is working or not working. But he's certainly not comfortable out there. And the velocity's down and the splitter's not working. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation between Rob and Taillon Walker tomorrow. Because he's just one pitcher in the rotation, but it's disheartening that, every time through, especially it's not a problem. It's the same with the outfield and the lineup. When everyone else is doing really well, barely notice it, you live with it. You start seeing some problems here or there. That we wouldn't be talking about the back of the lineup in the row for 10 tonight if Harper didn't, hit into that little double play when it felt like the momentum was starting to shift. So, it's sometimes you're not going to worry about it too much, and then at other times when your stars aren't playing up to expectations, then those flaws are going to become magnified. And the only way to really get past is come back out tomorrow. I think you got Wheeler on the mound, right? And go get a win, and everyone will feel a lot better.
Yeah, series is totally up for grabs. Diamondbacks are just one of those teams. It goes in flows of teams that just give you a hard time and a tough game all the time. And it appears the Diamondbacks are one of those teams. One of those flaws, though, John, is so clear. I'm gonna get so annoying. 39 days. They need a massive upgrade in outfield, whether it's in center or left. It's I would say damn near mandatory with the quality of team they have to be this close. You got to do something. It doesn't have to be like the absolute home run, but it can't just be like a journeyman having an okay year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, the rest of your roster is so good. Don't waste this opportunity.
Yeah, you're there.
You started out late in the world on fire. You're there. Atlanta probably getting a little closer now, but you've still got a sizable.
They're buying.
They're buying. They're not going to say, well, we'll just see what happens, and maybe next year. I mean, this is an opportunity that, as Philadelphia sports fans, We know how many opportunities do you get? How often does this come around? So you've got a team that's pretty close. Can you get an outfielder or two? I mean, and I do understand there aren't that many sellers. It's going to be a huge sellers market.
Mm-hmm.
We might not get Kyle Tucker, my personal dream. At the very least, maybe you can construct a couple better platoons than the platoons you have going right now, because it's it's not working. It's not working, and it's fine for it not to be working right now on June 21st.
Sure.
But you face this Diamondbacks team again in October, and you've got Merrifield and
Jordan Montgomery left a cookie over the plate. It's the one that he flew out to left field. A cookie. Yeah. And Whit Merrifield couldn't even get hard contact on it. It's just not working.
And I don't know what to do. Rob Thompson seems to be of the opinion that he's struggling because he's not playing every day and that he needs more at bats. But how many at bats can you give him? That's a dangerous balancing act. I mean, I know we were all on board with the Whit Merrifield signing before the season. He seemed like a really good fit.
Big time.
But you got to wonder, given his age, 35, 36, his second half numbers last season weren't great. You got to be concerned now that this is maybe who he is, and it's not just a matter of giving him more opportunities. And how far do you go before you pull the plug on that? That's why Topper makes the big bucks. He'll make that call, and a lot of it's going to depend on what opportunities there are out there for an upgrade.
Yeah, John, one of the guys that Jamie and I were talking about, if you're taking maybe that step down, like that second tier, was Taylor Ward. Another one that I've thought about for a little bit now. I know that it strikes out a little bit, kind of high whiff rates, but Brian De La Cruz from the Marlins. So if you're looking in that kind of tier B to C-ish tier, if you're looking for a move instead of the move, any interest in either of those two guys?
Yeah, I mean, they don't really set your imagination on fire, but if that's the area we end up, it'd be better than nothing. I mean, of course, I don't know about this Lewis Robert Jr. dream. With the injury history and that fly ball the other day, and you don't want to make too much out of one thing, but
you send him over to Germany. He gets a good old German blood cycling going on. And then you drop a little HGH in his Gatorade, and all of a sudden those phantom injuries don't even bother him anymore.
Yeah, well, I was talking to our friend Herb, #FreeHerb. Does a great job covering the White Sox out for our CHGO counterparts. He's of the opinion they might be looking for something like not just Miller or Painter, and we're loath to part with either of them.
Well, they're not touching those two.
Yeah, well, they might be looking for a package that includes both. This is a conversation, and it's just like, no, absolutely not.
No.
Well, I mean, that almost takes us back to when we talked about him in the offseason, where we put the hypothetical trades out, and all the Phillies fans were like, "Whoa, that's too much," and all the White Sox fans were like, "That ain't enough."
Yeah. So it's like that. Maybe we're not close here. So I don't know. Maybe in these 39 days, some team really goes under and becomes a seller, and it's somebody that's not on our radar right now. But
you're so close. You're
close.
Championship level, and it's hard not to just want to go for it.
Yeah.
John, what was your favorite part of the Cole Hamels retirement ceremony tonight, and why was it Chooch?
I was going to say Chooch. It's a beautiful thing. You see these guys together. It just brings back all the warm and fuzzies, right?
It sure does.
My personal favorite moment was I got to meet Cole Hamels for the first time. That was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
He had a small media availability after the big on-field ceremony, and then after that, he hung around and was just, he's a super nice guy. He's super nice, as advertised, and just hung around, making conversation with everyone. He seemed really happy to be back in town. He seemed genuinely touched by the ceremony. And it's a bummer that they put on a performance like this. That you come to me on this, the day of Cole Hamels, on the day of Cole Hamels' retirement ceremony, and do this. I mean, I guess the final score was close, I guess.
Yeah.
5-4.
It was a really good speech. It was cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of cool moments. And it's funny watching Cole Hamels speak. That he's really come into his own. It seems like in his as he's. I watched his World Series speech. From his parade speech from 2008, and he's just this, he's like barely over 20. It was so funny in retrospect, maybe sort of funny, sort of sad in retrospect, looking back. His clip on that speech, he's just like, all I want to say is we're going to be right back here next season, and the year after that, and the year after that.
No, he was close.
Yeah, they got long. They were back.
They were back. They were around, but they weren't back at a parade.
Yeah.
Got pretty close in 09.
Yeah.
I was fascinated. Maybe you guys have already talked about it. I was fascinated by the choice to give away 09 replica rings on Cole Hamels night. When
that is a bit weird.
It wasn't his best season.
Yeah, it was the parade hangover year, like where he got a little fat and didn't come in shape, and he admitted all this. And that's
right.
giveaway for that night.
So I don't know. Strange giveaway, but it's.
You got one of the rare 200 count Cole Hamels bobbleheads.
I do.
Yeah.
I would pull it out. I just packed it all back up in the styrofoam, right. So I'm not going to drag it out. But it looks nothing like him. I love it. It's terrific. Just a nice little keepsake. There are plenty available, guys. If you want me to grab you one, I can pick one up for you. At the
oh, really? They weren't moving?
They're not exactly flying off the shelves.
Wonder why.
Yeah. So I don't know.
What's the MSRP on that bad boy?
$4.
Honestly, way too much for a gag.
$29.99.
It was like $60.
Wow.
Yeah, but I had waited in line for about 25 minutes to get in the New Era store. So yeah, it's a little costly for a gag. But here we are.
Yeah, Mickey Durkin says $70, and Mickey Durkin
70. Yeah, Mickey got one too. All right,
that's great.
Yeah, so we've got 2 of them sold.
Yeah, Tyler. Anything else before we let John go?
Durkin have 1% of all Cole Hamels bobbleheads.
If we corner the market on these monstrosities, then maybe we can do something with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Well, John, you'll have a recap up on allphly.com, I'm sure.
Yep.
You got to feel good this weekend with Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler on the mound. You have the pitching advantage both games this weekend, and there's still a series out there to win, and I feel pretty good. It sucks that you go into a Friday night. I told Tyler this. It was Taillon Walker starting, and I kind of expected a loss, sadly.
Yeah, it's a bummer. A great big Friday night crowd. Everyone's tuned up a little more drinky than usual, maybe. The crowd was rowdy. Cole Hamels, there's a lot of emotion. You're playing the team that knocked you out in that horrible fashion last season. So this is absolutely a bummer. But you're right, Jamie. Come back, win the next 2.
Yeah,
we'll be feeling good again. I mean,
forget all about
tomorrow. We're going to be,
they're
going to be all right. But the problems are apparent. Everyone knows what
they know
are,
what to do.
And
Dave Dombrowski knows what needs to be done.
Yeah, I got faith in Dombrowski. He's got a track record of fixing these issues and taking teams to championships. So hopefully he can do it this season.
Great stuff, John. We'll make sure you're following John on Twitter at 2008 Phils with a Z. He put out great Cole Hamels content all day. And make sure you're reading John on allphly.com, as well as our own Jim Salisbury. So check out our 2 Phillies guys. John, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Tyler. See you guys soon.
See you, buddy. There is John Foley live from Citizens Bank Park. Tyler, I thought the coolest part of tonight, since we've already talked about the negatives, was the countdown chants against Jordan Montgomery because the umpire missed 2 or 3 of them. That was absolutely hilarious.
Listen,
and it shows you how good fans are.
Phillies fans are on top of that kind of stuff. They probably, I would imagine that slid once, and then they immediately jumped on it because – listen, I'm not sure if Apple's broadcast was 100% accurate. And I know that it's kind of the same as a shot clock in basketball where you get the tenths of a second to really, let it set in. And I got, I do tip my cap to Jordan Montgomery a little bit because he was manipulating the pitch clock to his advantage. But I would say if I had to estimate, I would say they probably let to go. People get up in arms. They're going, oh, there was like 30 of them. I would bet you there was probably 2.
I thought there was 3, but yeah, I think they got it within check once the fans started pointing it out to the umpires. Yeah. So a couple other notes before we get out of here. This weekend we talked about briefly Tommy Henry versus Zach Wheeler tomorrow, 4:05 start, back to the regular broadcast. And then Sunday, the 11:30 start, which I'm a huge fan of.
Oh, double thumbs down.
Yeah, huge fan of it. Coffee, breakfast. Christopher Sanchez versus Slade
Ciccone.
There you go. This one's on Roku, people. So what you want to do, it's free. You don't have to pay anything, but you do have to set up a Roku account and either download the app or screen share it from your computer on Roku.com. But that one you're going to have to do a little work on. So don't expect to turn on the TV at 11:35 Sunday morning and go, where's the game? Start take the steps ahead, work ahead and work smarter and get your Roku set up before the game on Sunday.
Is that your boomer voice?
Yeah, that was my boomer voice. And as we get out of here, I did just want to mention really cool event in Major League Baseball last night at the Rickwood Fields down in Birmingham, Alabama. I don't know how much of you saw of it. I didn't watch a ton of the game. I watched some of the pregame ceremony with Willie Mays' son, and they started a Willie chant. It was like awesome.
Yeah,
It was just a really special broadcast. Reggie Jackson was telling stories that made you at least be reminded of how recently people were treated absolutely terribly in this country. So it was a really powerful broadcast, and I think it was a great job by Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it was a super surreal with Reggie Jackson up there, and I think kudos to him.
Cheltenham's finest, by the way.
Kudos to him for kind of
letting you know how real it was,
showing his emotion on it because, like you said, I think that we've come a really long way as a society, but it wasn't that long ago that these events were taking place where, Reggie Jackson was talking about being, barred from hotels and barred from restaurants.
And he doesn't even look that old, He still looks pretty damn good.
So I like immense credit to Reggie Jackson for, telling his stories and explaining to people, especially I think it's extremely important for a young audience of baseball fans and a young audience of people, right? Strip baseball away for a second, a young audience of people to understand the severity of how bad, Black players were treated in, and how Black Americans were treated across the country. So for him to be that visceral, to be that real, I think was super, super important.
Yeah, it was. Another really cool thing that happened that night, Fox Sports also did a 1954 broadcast of the game. I don't know if you caught any of these clips. It was so cool. It looked like the old school TV facade, and it was shot the way the games were shot.
The camera cuts were cool.
Yeah, like it was really surreal to kind of see a modern game played through that lens.
Just an awesome experience. The history of Rickwood Field, the players that played, on the inside those lines, what it means for those players that were, that played there. What was it? It's a 110-year-old stadium, I believe.
Yeah.
You could go back through the history of the game and dictate the players that stepped on that field and what they meant to the game of baseball, what they meant to America as men, and really just an amazing event that I think really did a nice job of honoring, of cherishing, and also allowing, like we talked about with Reggie Jackson, allowing stories to be told that I think are so, so important for baseball fans young and old to hear.
It became also the first Major League Baseball game played at a stadium this century older than Fenway Park. Fenway had the mark of oldest stadium from I think it was 1999. They played a game somewhere else, but ever since it's been Fenway.
I believe it was when Comiskey shut down.
Yes, I think you're right. And Fenway's held the mark this entire century until Rickwood Field, which I believe is 2 years older than Fenway, or maybe 5, not many, took that honor from us. So very cool stuff all around by Major League Baseball last night. Last note, Tyler, it's happened. The Pirates have unveiled their uniform sponsorship.
Oh.
Sheets.
Makes total sense.
Totally does.
Counter move.
Now what needs to happen, Mr. Wawa
Counter
and
move.
Mr.
Let's go.
Middleton need to get on the phone and make this the great Pennsylvania Hoagie Wars on the baseball field.
Yeah, it's a shame that they're not like super rivals, right? Different divisions.
Hey, the Pirates are getting good. We can make this a rivalry.
Sure,
you know,
you're not playing
Wawa
them.
Just adds to it.
You're not playing them as the same as you are playing, you know, the Braves or the Mets or whatnot.
I can grow to hate Paul Skeens. I can grow.
No, you can't. You're a liar. You're a bad liar too.
So time for Wawa to step it up and get on the.
I think that'd be awesome.
That would be really cool. And there's tons of marketing you could do. Like, it would be awesome. It would be really cool. So as we get out of here, there's going to be a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals, which is very, very cool.
That?
Edmonton is up 5-1. Game's about to end. Yada, yada, yada. Game 7 going back to Florida should be very, very cool. All right. That does it for us. I feel good about the weekend. I think the Phillies take the series.
I still feel confident. We talked about it. The pitching matchup's significant. They did a decent job of scratching out a couple of runs today, but Jordan Montgomery wasn't particularly sharp. So you've got a bullpen game tomorrow with a bunch of dudes that are going to throw. Slade Ciccone on Sunday, who I think you have the upper hand with Chris Sanchez on the mound. I would not be stunned at all if we reconvene on Monday and the Phillies take the series 2-1.
Yeah. So that's it for us this weekend. Everybody out there, thank you for hanging out with us, tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out of here. Have a great weekend. We are back Monday morning at 11 a.m. And I feel like we're going to be talking about a Phillies series win over the Diamondbacks, but should be a good weekend. And sign up for Roku now so you can get those things set up for your 11:30 start on Sunday. All right, Tyler, have a great weekend.
There you go.
Yeah. Everybody out there, have a great weekend. Go Phils. We'll talk to you on Monday.
See you guys.
We all silly like the mayor.